Hey friends and family! Here we are again, your soon-to-be favorite twin sisters, Jana and Julia. Hi Jana, how are you today?
Hi Julie, good, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. Actually I started working again and now I have worked for a whole week. Yay!
Working
Yes,
woman.
Yes, queen.
Working moms.
I know it is like for the American listeners, it sounds like crazy that I had 1 year off. But in Germany, from all moms that I know, I am the one that starts the earliest with working again.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
some people don't work for 2 or 3 years after they have a baby. Yeah.
I mean,
And it's
ethically,
paid,
that's
you know?
how it should be, you know?
I know,
It's
that's
like
how it
so
should be.
sad when we have to go back at 6 weeks is like considered a good maternity leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, wow, I got benefits. Child is still a blob. That is such a bummer.
It is.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yay,
1 week
Julia!
work. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And how are you, Yanni? Banani?
Well, we're in the United States, and we have my sister-in-law, Amanda, here today.
Hello.
Amanda. Amanda.
She
Amanda
is,
Tunes.
she is a fun
Get it
one.
right.
Amanda Tunes.
She's a fun one. This is gonna be a good episode. Yeah, but we basically we got to the US and we adjusted to the time change and did some work on our new house, and then we had a funeral unfortunately yesterday, so we went to Wisconsin, which we're still at right now with Amanda at the farm. So excuse us if there's a lot of background noise. That's because there's a lot of people here.
A lot of people and a lot of animals.
Lots of animals.
Yeah, the buffalo are the
pigs
loudest.
Are in
It's
the
just
house.
rude.
At one point in time, though, we had a pet wild boar who'd come into the friggin' house.
No.
I'm serious. Until he started ripping up the lawn, and then we had to lock it down. I know.
We had a lot of animals.
Yes. It's actually, like, more contained now, you know?
Yeah.
But I kind of liked it when, well, you know, you don't know any better, so.
We need to really introduce you now, Amanda.
Oh,
Turner.
yes.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, yeah. So I'm Polly Wally's twin. I was born
Yay.
first. It's very obvious. No, I'm just kidding. I'm taller. All sorts of things.
All this
Um,
important stuff.
Yes. So I
You're
also
not
grew up on
actually
the farm.
taller, though, are you?
No,
No.
I'm not taller than Paul. I also grew up in this house. Paul and I had a lot of different rooms. At one point in time, we were in the basement. That was our first room in this house, which you would never guess that was habitable. If you were to go down there now, you'd be like, what? Excuse me? How did you not inhale botulism?
But you had one room?
Yeah, well, it's like one big room in the basement. And then I
yeah.
remember I like hung up a dead preserved fish on the wall, and that really made it feel like home. And
Did you get to share a bed when you were little? Do you know?
Oh yes, always at our old place too in Deer Creek, we shared a bed with Elise.
So 3 together.
And so
Wow.
we moved here when I was about 5 or 6, and then we shared a bed too. And like I actually preferred that, and like we took our baths together. We did everything together. Paul was like the sweetest. And then like if you watch videos of us, I was always pretty like subdued, and I think a part of that was because like Elise was so over the top all the time. Like Elise was like pushing people out of the camera. Look at me, And there was always singing, and it's just like, and then I'd be in the back and like, Amanda, what are you up to? And I would just look up and be like, help me. And then Paul.
Elise is the older sister we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Elise is 2 years older than us, and I think it was a shocker for her to shift all the attention. You know, that's always hard for kids.
To the twins.
To the twins. And the twins were obviously a big deal, and it was like evidenced by so many things. Like we had by far the most pictures of us. Like there's so many pictures and there's so many videos, and I think Elise got kind of pushed to the wayside, and she like maladapted by just being like so attention seeking. But yeah, and then Paul in the videos, he was always doing something totally nuts. Like he was like totally funny. He was always wearing some sort of weird tight shorts with his little butt and his round head, and he'd be bopping around just throwing himself off of couches or whatever. Yeah, he was really sweet though. Like everybody really loved Paul. Like outside people, like Paul was so endearing, and like even as a baby, like I cried a lot as a baby, which is why I have my super sweet, super sexy voice. Well, that is what my mom says is why I have a hoarse voice, but I'm just like, so
but I mean that's
I have
normal
nodules.
For little kids,
yeah.
though, right?
We got the cool voices going on. But yeah, so but I was a little bit harder to like quell, but Paul always had like big puffy eyes because he had a bunch of allergies and they didn't know, but he was such a good baby. Like he would just and apparently we would be in our crib and we would be chewing on each other's toes, and then we would fall asleep. Isn't that precious? So we still sometimes do that. When I'm really stressed out, I'm like, Paul, get over here. But yeah, as far as like growing up with Paul, it was like he definitely made it a better life, because he also like had he was like, I was his priority. Like he was like, what does Amanda want to do? Like even in
I love that.
I know, and like he was all about wearing what I was wearing, and he wanted to wear nightgowns, and he wanted to play with the Barbies, and he wanted to paint his nails, and he was.
But do you think this is a typical thing for how is it fraternal twins, right? Fraternal it's called.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think in any type of relationship like that, there's always one that's going to be a little more
dominant, right?
Yes. And I wasn't necessarily domineering or anything, but I was just like, maybe I was more like tender and I would cry more easily, I think. And so he went out of his way to make sure that I was okay. So like
he probably
that
would
was
be.
Our dynamic. Like
who would be the more dominant one? Because usually wouldn't it be the firstborn? But it doesn't really apply to you, does it?
No. I mean, I am the firstborn, so maybe. But as far as, like, I wasn't, like, bossy to him, though.
Yeah.
Which I think is good.
I think also his love language towards other people is gifts and
acts
also maybe acts of service, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So that totally makes sense that he would have been doing that his whole life.
Oh my gosh. He's got the practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul is like so sweet. And I think he had a lot of for lack of a better like words, behavioral issues, you know, like
and it probably was the allergies too, right?
Yeah, it was allergies and who knows what else is going on, you know. But so he just kind of struggled in that way. But but like in school we sort of drifted apart a little bit because Paul was kind of a troublemaker.
But wait, how was it with kindergarten? Did you go to kindergarten?
Yeah, so we did go to kindergarten together, and we ended up going to the same kindergarten, and then first grade and second grade, and then we split apart in third grade.
Okay.
But but it wasn't because of,
it wasn't working or something with you two being together.
It was because there was another reason, and I didn't want to be in the public school because all my friends I had were in the private school, so I wanted to go back to the private school. But Paul really liked the public school because he made more friends there. So we stayed apart for a little bit, and then we recombined in high school.
And we were interviewing a mom of fraternal twins, and she said that she has her boy and girl twins in the same classes because she thinks that there isn't that much of a competition between them. Like they sometimes see with the same gender twins because they tend to want to like
that's right,
be better or something, and it didn't really apply to her twins because I guess with the boy and girl combination that wasn't really an issue.
No, there was definitely like this, in the family, whether we like it or not, the parents will sometimes put roles on you, and Paul was put into a different role than I was put in, and my role was I got the good grades. And so Paul, I think, automatically
was like, I'm not as good as a
exactly.
man anyway.
He internalized like this totally different role for himself, and looking back, it's obvious, like he was like, all right, well, I'm not ever going to be that role, so why should I even try, So he was definitely the more troublemaker in the class, and he was always, and like I actually had a stint where I was also being sent to the principal's office every day, and then I guess I locked it up. I got clean. That was in 4th grade. I stopped playing with so many Barbies, and no, just kidding. I love Barbies. But yeah, as far as if we were
just kidding about the Barbies, not about
just
the
kidding
part.
Exactly. I'm not Paul, I could definitely tell from a young age that Paul did feel competitive with me, even though and
really?
Yeah, and it was better. It definitely was 100% better that we were not the same gender.
Oh, it probably would have
like
been
100% better. Like I know for a fact it would have been much more contentious. There would have been many more issues.
He in general, or maybe it's the whole family.
Yeah, the family is super competitive. Like we being our parents were always comparing us, and like because like we were like Paul for sure, he was the role of like best singer, best at Spanish, best, and sports, right?
And so athletics.
You have amazing singers in your family, I have to say. I think all of you can sing amazing.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Overall, I like it when they can just like not make it a competition, because that it becomes a competition. Like I'm like I'm not even competing. We're not gonna even go there. So, but yeah, like Paul was told that he was like really good at singing, which of course he is, like a rock star singer, and
you can't be good at everything.
And that's and so that's all that he like really excelled at in school. Like he probably won't mind me saying this, but he only got a good grade in choir and in Spanish. Everything else was like flunk or like C's. Like it was, and
he also probably didn't.
He's brilliant, so
he didn't really care that much during high school.
No, he was
really
too busy.
cross country
and those girls.
And I think that's a lot of boys, though. Let's be real. I mean, if you compare to,
he definitely like won the award for lowest GPA. Paul is so funny.
But I think it's at that age, though.
Yeah.
I think it's more a girl thing to be very into like good grades.
Academics, yeah.
And maybe that's
maybe.
I don't know.
I'm sure that played into it. No. I don't think you're wrong.
Or maybe we should explain which age you had that time, because maybe Germans don't know the...
Oh, yeah. So all that.
In a high school or before that? Yeah.
So it started though, like I remember it started even in first grade. I remember because I was pretty good at reading, and like Paul wasn't as good at reading.
And you start first grade also with 6, right? 6 years old.
Oh, that's a good question.
Typically,
No,
yes.
we were
But
older.
you were older because you're September babies.
Yeah, and then
So because they were
Really?
born after September 1st, they could have started when they were 5, but you could have started kindergarten when you were 4, but you probably started when you were 5, and then you turned 6, right?
I think we started.
Or did you?
We started kindergarten when we were 6. Because pre-K here is 4 or 5.
What year did you graduate high school?
2008.
Cause you're right. You were older because
We were like much older.
we had a 13th year and we graduated in 2009. But you guys are older. You were half a year older than us.
Yeah.
That's technically not that much older, I guess.
No, but
It's because you were
like,
born in
oldest.
September. They can decide if they want you to go to school. Yeah,
That's basically the same in Germany.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
same.
is it? Okay.
It is the same with the September rule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul wants to put our middle child. We usually don't say the names. Our middle child into
nice.
school already, because he wants him to be closer to the older one. But like, no, let's just wait. Because I guess you can do it until they're in December. Because his birthday is in December. But I think he wouldn't be ready anyway. It's fine.
No.
They don't have to be close together.
We get a little too aggressive with it.
Yeah.
I even kind of got a little aggressive.
I think
with
it's
it,
good when they have more time to be kids, because then once they start school, there's no going back.
No, exactly. That's why. I'm homeschooling
So in
right
high
now.
school, when you changed to high school, how old are you in that?
We were 15. We were 15 years old our freshman year.
Yeah, because they have elementary school and then they have middle school.
So I was already almost 18 and a half when I graduated.
Yeah.
Or not 18 and a half. Yeah, actually, I was. For sure. Dang, sis. But yeah, as far as when that competition started, it like started really young. Because I even remember thinking, I'm just like, oh yeah, I guess.
And maybe
it's so
that's
funny what
normal
kids
for
think.
just siblings in general. Because
I think it was exaggerated though because we were in the exact same like grade
thing at the same time,
and had the same milestones, and I think that was what's also heartbreaking is like standardized testing. Like I don't think we need standardized testing as much as the state thinks we need standardized testing because
What is that?
It's like that what they do in Germany too. It's when they do that too. They have random tests throughout where they test how good German students are, and in this case it'd be American students are overall. They all get the same tests, right?
Same questions, same amount of time.
Yeah.
So
We did that too in school. I remember that we did that too. That's standard
but it's
test.
it's like more often now. But yeah, it in high school it became much more obvious though because we were together like every day. And we were in some overlapping classes, but generally we actually, come to think of it, we weren't really in the same classes. We were in band together, which was always kind of funny because we were both like total like screwballs, not paying attention. Yeah, and then we were in choir together. And
how about hobbies? Did you do the same stuff? Or did you listen to the same music?
Paul and I honestly were not as close as maybe we would have liked to think. You know what I mean? Like we were close, and we actually grew apart in high school because Paul started, and I did run this by Paul because it's a little bit sketch, but Paul started dating like a bunch of my friends at the same time. At the same time. So, of course, I was like, hell no, mister. And so I told my friends I would call him out in front of like, he'd get so pissed. He'd be so pissed at me because I remember I would be at the lunch table, and I would just call him out in front of like the entire school. I was like, Paul, you're dating this and this and this. And then he was dating my other friend at this other school too. So like Pepin is about 30 minutes away from our high school, which is called Durand High School. And he was dating 2 people at one point in time at the Durand High School, and then 1 person at the Pepin High School.
He's trouble.
He's a troublemaker.
He always told me that he was not dating that much.
Well, that's a lie. So, well, okay, I shouldn't say lie.
He probably meant because it was dating with like
it wasn't like
maybe not much behind the dating.
Serious dating.
It wasn't serious dating. It was
for his ego.
Holding hands and that.
It was more like a fun.
It was like
thing,
a thrill.
not really
it was a thrill, you know.
Collecting girlfriends.
Yeah, exactly. Collecting girlfriends.
Some people collect coins. He collected girlfriends.
Yeah. I collected, cats, so I wasn't much better. So in high school we grew apart, and then after high school was a little bit sketch too, because we just really struggled with the truth-telling situation, and that was a deal breaker for me. And then of course I moved away. I went out to Oregon for school.
Yeah, but how do you think, or how did that happen that you wanted to be like, and it was also because you wanted to study, of course, but how did it happen that you were ready to go away, you know what I mean?
Well,
to separate from him.
Were you
from
Paul?
Paul at that point in time, so we were 19 years old, and he was in the thick of things where like we had tried to hash things out, but it was just, once again, it came back to like just there wasn't a whole lot of trust there. So however,
so at that point in time, did you want to go really far away, or was it more like which school accepted you, or did you choose to go? Because you went to Washington, which is obviously really far away from Wisconsin.
Oregon.
Oregon. Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, no, they're neighbors. But yeah, the reason I went there, and this probably isn't relevant like to this podcast, but just like is because of what was happening here. That was not. It was. There was just a lot of.
But it wasn't all Paul.
It wasn't Paul at all. It was
drama.
There was a lot of stuff going on here that I was like, you know what? I've got to break free. And then I busted out of here.
And I think a lot of people do that because I think the teenage years are just hard. And then also, I just know it's not an uncommon thing that people go really far away. And I think for Americans too, like one of your brothers is in Portland, and then you are in Georgia, and then the others are in Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Also,
so it's
I also moved away after.
It's not super uncommon.
The Abitur.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
Plus,
it kind
Oregon
of is actually.
Is really beautiful.
I think people don't go that far away. You know what I mean?
Some
like,
people
I would
don't
not
do that,
have. I was gonna say it's not very common because
maybe for this area, not
a
so
majority of the people who like I went to school with, say in Oregon and in Georgia, they're from like that general vicinity, like around those like states even. So like I would not have left the Midwest if it wouldn't have been like there, extreme situations. Like not many people have to,
And your classmates
have to go through this stuff.
Did a lot of your classmates go somewhere else, or did they all kind of stay in the area?
They kind of stayed in the area. Like, if they did go anywhere...
Except for all the smart ones, probably...
They left, but maybe... They went up to, the Twin Cities, you know what I mean?
That's the reason, Amanda. It's because you're so smart.
Because I'm brilliant. But yeah, no. But, like... All that being said, it was very difficult. It was very, very, very difficult. Like, I knew exactly 0 people there.
But you make friends very easily.
Yeah, no, but it's still very difficult.
It
you
is
know what I mean?
difficult, yeah.
Yeah, would you say that's also interesting because Paul is obviously a social butterfly.
Mm-hmm. I am too.
Would you
but
say
it's hard.
you too, but maybe less or the same level?
Well, I think we both, because both of our parents, when put in a social setting, they're extremely talkative.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what we were, taught, which is, like, a blessing and a curse, because it's, like, we can turn it on, and then it tires us out, because, like, we can crank it up, and we're like, all right, let's do this thing.
So it's like you're extroverted introverts.
Let's perform. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone, to a degree, is like an extrovert introvert because everyone enjoys the people who they enjoy. Yeah. And they get their cup filled up with the people that they like. I think that a big difference between extroverts and introverts is extroverts, like, process externally, like, they have to talk it out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, as far as... That's a side note. But as far as... Paul and I, we actually do have very similar personalities in that, as, like, Jana has pointed out too, she's like, neither of you like to follow the rules. We do.
Both of you are loud.
We are both very loud. We are very loud. We both, this part's very cool. So we both, went on our separate journeys of struggles. And we both, I think, and, like, I tell so many people this at work, all my friends, they know how much I love Paul. And, like, how he went through some shit. And he, like, pulled himself up by his little bootstraps. And he's just kicking ass. Like, he's kicking ass. It makes me cry. He's just kicking ass. But...
Oh, you're so sweet.
But, yeah,
Oh, Amanda Toons.
I know. But, like, Paul...
You are kicking asses.
That's right, we're kicking ass.
Like thousands of them.
Yes, queen.
We just leave asses on the side of the road kicked. But, like, and then, like, so... We both went through a lot of therapy, actually. Like, we both went through this mental health journey that I think... not to say that we're, like, in nirvana or something, but, like, we have come to a point where we have intentionally had to become more self-aware because we're trying to, like, face all these demons. And I think that's where we are similar, and that's why we're so close right now. Like, we really got close probably when we were, like, probably after you guys came back from Germany on your
first time
on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Like, after the fact, because he was so mad at me for, like, not calling him more. But, like, I was in school full time with a newborn, and I was like, Paul, bro, you don't understand.
Yeah, we didn't tell the listeners that Amanda Toons is also a mom.
Oh yeah, I am a mama.
She has a baby girl.
Yeah.
Baby girl that is already...
She's
almost
7.
8.
She's gonna be 8.
I know, she's so big.
But she is a baby girl. She's always gonna be my baby girl. But yeah, I think that's why we're so close now, and that's why we wanna, like, try to make plans for the future to be closer, like distance wise to each other. Right now, it's obviously hard because he wants to be in Duluth and I want to stay in Atlanta. And, like, we each have, like, our own communities in those, like, respective areas. And I don't want him to move towards me because he would, or to Atlanta at least. Like, I don't think he would really like Atlanta just because he doesn't like the heat and but
Hotlanta.
I love Hotlanta. It's awesome. But yeah, like hopefully someday we could, like, our dream, I don't know if it'll ever happen, is like to have a homestead. And like Paul has been there for me in the last, I guess we're almost 32 now in September, so it's been a chunk of years, like at least 8 years solid, where we've been like each other's like pretty constant rocks, and we've done some of our most significant transformations, I think, in the last 10 years, because in your 20s, oh my gosh, you don't know what the hell is going on in your 20s. I wouldn't want to go back in my 20s. Like, talk about like tortured souls, and like Paul too. But yeah, and so now that we like know a little bit who we are and like our values really line up, and I mean, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, is like you guys have the same values, you have the same foundation, and not that you have to agree on everything, but it's like you can make decisions based on your values, and then trust that the other person knows that they're making the best decision for themselves. And I guess that's why it's okay too, that it's just like, okay, we're just gonna visit each other because I trust that you know what you're doing, and he trusts that I know what I'm doing. And
And how did you like it when Jana and Paul and the kids moved to Germany?
Well, I came to hang out for a hot sec.
I know.
That was very hard, actually. Like, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. But, like, Paul and I, we talk pretty frequently. And, like, he's actually probably more of a talker than I am, come to think of it. Because he'll, like, always answer his phone. I do not answer my phone. Like, I'm just like, I see that person calling. I like them a lot. I'm not gonna answer it. I'll only answer it if it's like Paul or like a close friend or like period, like maybe 3 people. But Paul always answers his phone. So in that way, and I think Paul, I guess you're right. Paul is a little more extroverted because he is like does get more energy from going out.
Random people, Amanda, and they tell him within like 2 minutes. They tell him their whole life story. And when I go up to a random person, they don't tell me anything.
They're like, "Can you give me money?" You're like, "What's your life story?"
They're like, "Do you need help? You look helpless."
That's hilarious. But yeah, no, Paul,
he just somehow
Paul's killing the game.
They just know that he's a person that they could tell stuff to even when they don't know him. And I don't know how he does that, but that's also why he's a therapist. But it is interesting to note that you're both in the health field. It's just he's mental health and you're a nurse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And and like I actually picked this job because there's also a lot of mental health. Like that was what I mentioned that in all my interviews, and this one was the only interview that was like, this is basically a psych unit. Yeah. Because naturally it's people with cancer, so So I work on an oncology unit, and we do bone marrow transplants. That's the name of the unit. However, we do all multiple myeloma, even like clinical trials. We do this thing called CAR T, and we do all of like the CNS lymphomas, which is like the central nervous system, meaning your brain. So we get people who are like, they are literally bouncing off the walls, or they're...
And it's cancer?
It's cancer. Like, we get a lot of aggressively confused, or just, or aggressive, or, it's obviously
interesting,
very sad. And then, of course, there's a lot of mental health issues because this is so traumatic, and it's for years, and and it's not ever like a small event. It's not like, oh, I just have leukemia that's, relapse like 6 times or something. And like typically if they are on this unit, which is inpatient, it's not outpatient. So we don't see like, oh, I'm just coming back for a checkup. It's like, oh,
They're
I
there all the
am
time.
coming back because I'm like actively dying.
And I'm
So,
trying
help
to
me.
survive. Yeah.
So like
They're
that's
just
where
mostly
we're
the same
similar in that too.
patients over and over. Then
Which can also make it hard because it's like, oh, I know this person. But
Gosh.
all that being said, just like tying in, like Paul is super into mental health, and I'm like all about that mental health. But yeah, no, but it is very interesting that we like independently went into these almost like acts of service in a way, you know?
Yeah, but Amanda told me earlier that in terms of COVID, it didn't really change much for them because with the cancer patients, you had to do all the same things anyway already because they can't get sick. They're not. If they get sick, they die.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they already have cancer.
So, like, on our unit, it affected it in, like, a roundabout way, but what was actually making it worse was our hospital made some poor decisions, and then we lost a ton of staff. And because our unit's so specialized,
What do you mean with lost?
Oh, lost. They left because.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sorry. That's
They all died.
They all got
Maybe some
COVID,
listeners
but
think everyone died.
COVID didn't affect anything, but COVID killed all the nurses.
Patients are alive, though.
Yeah, the patients are actually taking care of the nurses. We're good to go. That's funny. But yeah, as far as I know it is very impressive though, because it's like we look back and like Jana will even point out things to me and be like, "Oh, Paul does that too," and I'm like, "Oh, that's so." It's very accurate though. It's like very similar things, like especially the rule thing. I have noticed that about myself. Like I'm like, "Oh, so you're telling me I have to park there? Well, I'm not. I'm not gonna."
I know Paul has the same thing with speed
parking.
limit. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it so hard? I mean, come on, just follow the speed limit. You don't have to go faster.
That is so funny.
Yeah. He was always working on that himself, like to make a conscious decision. I'm gonna
Follow the rules.
I'm gonna follow the rules. Today I'm gonna follow the rules.
Hey, that's super funny because Jana is actually the one person that I know that follows every rule.
No way!
It is
What?
true. It is true. It's
My
very true.
closest friend at work is like that, and she is just like, it is so crazy that we are like yin and yang, and she knows that I like break all the rules, and she like supports me, and then she's like, yeah, but I mean it's like chill stuff. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
I
not
get a
like-
ginger ale. I get one. None of you guys get a ginger ale. I'm gonna take it out of the fridge. Just like stupid. It's not.
Yeah.
It's all stupid. It's not like ever anything risky, but it's just funny because it's just like, don't tell me what to do. You don't own me. Strong, independent woman. I'm gonna eat this cranberry juice. I'm gonna drink it. Eat these crackers. But yeah.
Amanda, I have another question for you.
Oh yes.
When you were pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
Pregnante. Pregnant. When you were pregnant.
When you were pregunta.
did you think about maybe getting twins, or did you maybe want to have twins?
Oh man.
Or do you maybe want to have twins still?
That's a good question. The question is, the answer to the question is, at that point in time, I hate to say 100%, but 98% did not want to have twins.
But I mean, it's totally okay to say because I have said that over and over. That every time I was pregnant, I was terrified of it being twins.
No.
I think that's normal though.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And especially because it was like uber duper super pooper unplanned. It was like the most unplanned ever. And I was
But the
in
biggest
the middle.
blessing.
It's obviously
The biggest blessing.
so life changing. I'm 100% a better person because of her. But I was in my junior year of college, and I was like, oh no. and I was at a school.
A private school, and you were not allowed to be pregnant.
Exactly. Like, this is
another
something
example
out of the freaking 1800s.
Example of Amanda doesn't like to follow rules.
Exactly.
What if
I'm
Amanda
like,
she gets pregnant?
You guys. Well, first of all, I didn't even know that was a rule until after the fact. So I had to keep it a secret up until I left. So I was pregnant. Oh, wait. One quick fact is, I think I had almost a 70% chance of having twins because I'm a fraternal twin and Pavs has twin brothers who are also fraternal twins.
Wow.
So of course, I Googled it and it was like 70% chance.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, ah! So I'm glad that didn't happen. Because, well, I mean, whatever. I would have dealt, but it would have been
but it would have been
so
harder
bad.
for sure.
So
Because
hard.
it was already hard to begin
It
with.
was so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't actually know what I was saying. Oh, at the school. So I had to like hide my bump. So I would wear this like big red poncho. Isn't that so sketch
sad.
though?
It's sad that you have to hide it.
It's really sad, and it was really surprising because it was a Quaker university. And I'm gonna drag its name through the mud. George Fox University. It was a really good school though. Like, honestly, it was good education, and it was actually really liberal and like really, just like laid back, crunchy granola. Everyone was walking around barefooted. There were composting pails all over campus with worms in it. Like, it was so hippie. And then it had this one like super antiquated rule that if you were not married and you got pregnant, you could no longer go to the schools. So I had to keep it a secret, and then I left, went back to Wisconsin,
Katusha.
Popped out
So
the
you
babe.
took a break.
The break was me working in a restaurant.
Well, I mean, in terms of you didn't take classes that semester.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I left because also I was in like OChem, and there was a bunch of, there's like a bunch of fumes, and I was like, this probably isn't good.
No, probably
like,
not. Did you throw up in the bathrooms? Well, or did you not?
No. Well, I actually was working in the kitchen at school, and I was so sick.
Oh no.
And like, I didn't know
That's
about
terrible.
anything. Like, I didn't know any remedies. I would like chew on gum, but I remember even like the smell of ketchup. Like, I remember I was actually taking my finals, and I was like in the thick of like the all day sickness,
Yeah.
Like, you're just sick all day,
Yeah.
every day. So
Yeah.
I was just like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, and then I went home and made some money, popped out Katya, and then I went back to school in Oregon. It was a good old time. And then we graduated. Pav and we graduated. But yeah, what's funny is that the person that I chose more or less to
I know we need to mention this.
This is something else.
This is funny.
So the person who I was engaged to, I am no longer engaged to him. His name is Pavel, which I didn't know at the time. Well, actually, I knew eventually. Is Paul. It's Paul in English. And then on top of it, he looks like Paul.
They really look alike.
So I'm like, oh my goodness.
And right now they have the same haircut.
They have the
basically,
same haircut, same,
and the same beard. And we took a picture of them.
Creeping me out.
And they look the exact same. And then at the funeral that we were at, Paul was singing at the funeral at church. And afterwards, people would go up to Pav and say, "Good job singing up there."
and then like I was like standing next to Pav, and one random lady came up to Pav and was like, "I know you." And I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
This is Pavel.
He was born. He was born in Ukraine. You don't know him. And so I was like trying to like explain who he was in like some weird.
But she still kept saying.
She was like, no,
I know him. I know him.
He's not from here. He's a foreigner. Just kidding. That's what I should have said, because that's the only way they understand, rural Wisconsin. They're like, oh, foreigner. Oh gosh. But yeah, that is
It's funny.
That is so crazy. This is my fiance who looks, and I feel like as time has gone on, he looks more like Paul now, because
yeah, it's true.
In older pictures,
in
he
college,
doesn't look like
look
Paul,
like Paul that much,
and now he looks like Paul.
But I do think they also have similar characteristics. Like, both Pav and Paul are pretty impulsive, I would say, right?
Yes, but
yeah,
that's true. Pav is pretty impulsive. Yeah, I think Paul's gotten better. I guess they've both gotten better, but yeah. Oh gosh.
I think it's probably just the age too.
Yeah, they're both 12. Yeah.
They were when they were 12.
Currently
12. Currently 12.
But yeah, it's cool. And I think that if we were to have like a small Paul, it would be
Jana's middle boy.
The middle boy. So sweet. Oh my gosh.
He is 100% like his father. Yeah.
It's like that energy, but like
the energy.
And also the like quick to, like, if you cross him, he gets mad real quick.
Oh yeah.
And it's not that Paul is still doing that, because clearly he's not a child. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's just
no. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the like when he is mad, it's hard to turn him away from that.
Yes.
And especially me, because I always go to him and he's like, no, not mama. Papa. I want papa.
That's right. No, not mama. I remember. Papa. And a small Amanda is 100% Katya. Like, Katya is that, like, kind of, she's very empathetic. That's her MO. She's empathetic. She's just so thoughtful. Would you say that who probably your oldest, right, is like you the most?
Yeah, I think so. When we're
He's
in the
the
car
best.
together
So
and he
sweet.
notices that Paul is driving fast, he's like, Papa, no speeding. And he definitely has that from me.
You're not following the rules.
Yeah.
Also, right now, he is very concerned about wild animals, which I'm sure Paul was never concerned about wild animals. Like,
No.
he asks me very specific questions, like, what do I do if I see a bear? And what do I do if I see a grizzly bear?
Dude.
What do I do when I see wolves? What do I do when I see foxes? He wants to know, like, everything.
Yes.
Like, how do I get out of it? For which animal can I climb a tree? He's very concerned. He has a lot of questions.
No, I am that way. Apparently,
I'm that way too, but Paul's like, no, just figure it out.
Paul never cared.
I
I was like so cautious.
Paul would be like from the one series that we watched on Netflix, Working Moms. The mom that screams at the bear.
Oh yes, that was badass. I liked that.
I know. Paul does now, I mean, as a child, I mean, he probably wasn't concerned about it. No. Now he totally knows what to do, so I always say, well, we better ask Papa, because you're asking a German city girl what you're supposed to do when you see a wolf in the woods. You know, I don't know.
That is really funny, though. But yeah, it took me, I was 11 years old before I jumped off the diving board, apparently. I learned that the other day.
Really?
11! Yes, because I was so cautious.
But
and Paul
is the
doing
one,
flips, like...
Yeah. You're
when
the
he was like,
cautious twin, and
I'm
he is
so cautious.
the crazy one.
I did not swallow a pill until I was like 16 years old. I remember that.
It is hard to swallow pills.
It is, and I still struggle.
Me too.
That's probably a good thing.
I comfort my patients. I'm like, don't. It is totally a good thing, because balance balance. Because, like, if Pav and, like, I wasn't cautious, Pav would do a lot more crazy things. Like, he still does cuckoo things. Like, this is a fun fact about Pav. He drove his motorcycle 8,000 miles to Costa Rica and back. He's like
himself.
He's smaller than Paul. Like, he's 5'6" and he's like 103 pounds. No, I'm just kidding. He is 5'6", but I think he's small. He's not someone you're like, oh, I believe in you. You'll be fine crossing all those borders. But I mean, he was fine.
He did it, and he was having fun.
Yeah,
I certainly wouldn't do it
unsafe.
as a woman.
Very
I
unsafe.
would not do it as a woman ever.
Very unsafe. Especially, I wouldn't do it if you have a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, people get in so many motorcycle accidents.
Oh, gosh. And we saw, when we were little, we saw a dead motorcyclist on the road.
No.
It's very traumatizing, and I still
and remember that too.
I can still see it to this day right in front of me.
What happened?
I don't know what happened, but they had a cover over him, and it was full of blood. And that's something you can't unsee, you know? That, like, haunts you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And that's people with
where was
helmets.
this?
Because, you know, in Germany you can't ride motorcycles without helmets.
Yeah, in Germany, yeah, that's following the rules, guys. In Germany, everything is like
I know, it's all regulated.
helmet. You have proper clothes on. In the US, you can go on a motorcycle with flip-flops.
But that's the thing, you can still die with a helmet. Yeah, also,
Yeah,
you're
it's
not
true, you
supposed to
can.
wear sandals when you drive a car in Germany. Are you
You can
legally
totally
allowed
do
to...
that, I feel like.
Can you drive barefoot? Is that
Yeah,
allowed?
I think you can.
It probably depends on the state, too. Because some
Yeah.
states have different rules.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
But yes.
Because it's not considered safe.
Oh, it's
Like in
terrible.
sandals can get stuck, you know?
That's a good point. See? You know, there's nothing wrong with being cautious or paranoid. Just kidding. That's what makes me a good healthcare provider. Is I am very paranoid, and being, you know, knowledgeable in that paranoia. Like, that's not a good word for it, because that insinuates like unfounded fear. It's like, no, this is founded fear. This is evidence-based fear.
Yeah.
Like, this is, or just caution. I don't know what the right word is, but
Yeah.
no, but that is true. That it's like you kind of have to make up for the other person sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know another thing that Paul does
Yeah.
that he probably wouldn't do otherwise is, or like what we do now with the kids is like, I'm very on like checking them for ticks every day. And Paul said, well, we used to just go in the woods and then, you know, just kind of randomly checked each other. But I think maybe ticks are worse too.
Ticks are
nowadays.
very bad right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have been bad.
Because he said, oh, it's not a big of a deal. We used to just like...
It is a big deal.
Yeah, but now it freaks me out. Ticks freak me out. And our oldest is also like, let's check for ticks!
Okay, that is so funny. Katya, when I was telling her about ticks, it was like a whole one sentence. She like was paralyzed in fear, like she couldn't move. I was like, oh no, I broke her.
You probably don't have them in Georgia, do you?
No, not really. I mean, we do in the woods, but we don't go trudging through the woods like we do here, you know.
Yeah.
But that is funny because she's very cautious like that too. And she was paranoid because last night Grandpa told her how they unleashed, it's probably not the best word, but you know, like 1,800 rattlesnakes into like the Tiffany bottoms over here. And
wait, when did
she wouldn't even walk on the floor in the house. I was like, girl, it's okay.
Oh my gosh, but when did they do that?
A couple years ago, he said. And they're like spawning. And I was like, what? These are rattlesnakes.
Okay.
They will kill you. Yeah.
Don't tell your oldest son, Jana.
Yeah, oh gosh, I do not
Oh,
want to
no.
see. Now we have to tell him what to do when he sees a rattlesnake.
Okay, that's not a bad idea. No, it's not a bad idea.
That's the thing about
I think we
country
should put
life
together
here.
a PowerPoint.
Yeah, we need to put together a PowerPoint because it's very unsafe. It's not like going through the city in Germany. Do, 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 do. No, you might see a cougar or a bobcat or
Yes, that's
a
what
wolverine.
Elsie was saying. He said that they just caught this bobcat that when it was like held up, like legs, like front legs to back legs, it was like 6 feet.
Yeah, Yuli would not make it.
I'm not okay.
I wouldn't make it.
Not okay.
I'm not.
Not
They
okay.
don't
gotta
have
go
that.
lie
they
down.
They don't have that in Kreuzberg in Berlin. They don't have that.
Yeah, Amanda, how did you like Berlin?
I actually really like Berlin. I don't think I could live in Berlin because I am at heart a country type girl, in that I need more like green space. Like I need to be by green space. I really liked Berlin because I always felt safe. Like I felt so safe. Like I went to New York, and even though it's similar in like the layout of like the concrete jungle, it is not safe in New York. I did not feel safe in New York. And people were like, even though like I don't need anyone to be overly friendly like they are here in the Midwest, you know, everybody waves at everybody, and you know, but
and you're like, just leave me alone.
I'm like, okay, hi, I know I'm popular. Just kidding. But like, as far as in New York, I was just like offended. I was like, why are you so mean? Like, because everyone's so short and pushy. And like, but in Berlin, people were like going on about their day, but they weren't like, I'm more important than all of you. Because that's a vibe in New York, I feel like. That's a vibe in Atlanta. People are like,
really?
Look at me drive my car very fast. I have more money than you. Yes.
Oh, that's annoying, yeah.
But yeah.
I know, Berlin people are not like that at all.
No, I liked it. And there was some fun stuff on the streets.
Oh yeah,
That
Paul loved that too. Paul loves
smelled
the
like
free
urine.
stuff.
Oh yeah, Paul and I, we are scavengers. We scavenge like nobody's business. Like, that's another thing we have in
I know,
common.
and I had to tell Paul, like, don't get too excited about the free stuff in Berlin, because you might also find poop in there.
Yes, no, he did, right?
Yeah, he did
found
find poop.
I found pee in one of them. I was like, yeah, that's pee.
But
We're gonna put that
sometimes,
back.
sometimes you find really nice children's clothing that they just set out.
What did I get? I think I got a toy in Berlin.
Yeah.
On the side, in a box. And then I got,
Some
like,
of
a
it is
lid.
some of it is trash, and then some of it is really nice stuff that they just don't want to go through trying to sell it. They just set it out for someone who needs it, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, you need to be fast.
Oh, nice.
It's the way to do it, because when they put it out, you need to take it. Otherwise, people throw trash in it or...
Better poop in it. It's also kind of... Oh, sorry. I'm ready for my nappy. I better go get Paul's foot to chew on.
You are hilarious.
You're hilarious. You
Well,
smell like
thank
me.
you for coming on to our podcast.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Amanda.
This is cool. We'll have to drag Paul on.
I know.
You're so welcome. It was so nice talking with you. So nice seeing you. We'll have to have another party in Berlin.
We can meet in Atlanta.
Oh, that would be cool. There is some cool stuff in Atlanta. There is some really cool stuff in Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's not downtown. I don't like downtown. I live in like this residential area where I have a clothesline and a big backyard and a big front yard,
And she has a pool with her
and I have a
apartment building.
pool.
And that's
Ew.
so
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, you need a pool in Atlanta.
Yeah, you do.
To cool off.
I love Atlanta. But yeah,
We love Amanda.
I love you. You love me.
We're a happy family.
I'm always working on my
Twins and twins.
Cockney accent. Twins of twins. Oh, that's so
Aw.
sweet. Love you. Thanks
Love
for
you
having me.
too.
You guys are rock stars. Working moms.
Working moms.
Working moms.
Next week's episode is going to be in German again. We will talk about Julia's pregnancy with special guest, her husband, Larry. Tune in, guys.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Hear you next time on the next Twin Tuesday.
Next Twin Tuesday.